To help us here tonight, just give us some information around what work has been done around diversity and integration, and if we have questions or if we need help from those that are able to give us the help, is Sgt Dermot Delaney. He's from the Garda National Diversity and Integration Office, and he'll be speaking to us, just like I said, to tell us about the work that they do, and if we do need help, yeah, we know where to go.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. I'd like to thank Peter for the invitation. My only complaint is that I wish I was before the last speaker, because I'm certainly not going to be as impressive as she was and as passionate as she sounded. I brought my laptop with me. I had loads of nice slides with loads of information, and having listened to the people that have spoken already, I've decided to put it away. I think you'll appreciate that, even if you don't know what was on it. My own background, I was recently promoted to the rank of sergeant, and thank you. I think the only round of applause I got for that was from my own mammy. She was delighted. And I found myself being appointed as the sergeant in charge of the Garda National Diversity and Integration Unit. Some of the people here will know my predecessor, Sergeant Dave McInerney. He was in the role for, I think, 20 years or close enough, and they're really, really big boots to fill, and it's a little bit daunting, but I can assure you I am passionate about trying to fill that role. In the context of International Women's Day, as we were speaking earlier, it reminded me of earlier in my career. I was policing in and around the city centre, and there was a particular group of kids causing trouble. They were engaging in crime and assaults and things like that. There was one in particular that would put it up to us every time we kind of entered that area, and as it happened, I had cause to interact with that and he was a child at the time, he was 16 or 17, with his mother in relation to something else. And as it happened, I recorded her number in my phone. So one day we rolled up and he was putting it up to us, and they had been engaging in antisocial behaviour, and he was being the tough guy. And as he was giving us the verbals, I took her my phone. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm ringing your mother." And he backed down. And then I told his mother what he was doing. And from that day on, every time I encountered that individual, I just waved my phone at him. The mammies are very, very good police people. And they are a resource to be utilised in terms of dealing with these issues. In the diversity office, my role, I suppose, is to, well, I have lots of different roles, but one of them is to engage with the representatives from our diverse communities. I'm early in my days here, so I'm as much here to listen and to learn as I am to tell you what your issues are. It's not for me to tell you what your concerns are. Some of the concerns I'm hearing echo what happens in my house. I have 4 young kids. My eldest is 12. Recently he was out with his friends, or supposedly out with his friends, and we found out that he wasn't with who he was supposed to be with. Myself and my wife were worried about that. Who was he with? So I went looking for him, and I found him, and he was with a girl. Well, I can appreciate where you're coming from when your kids are outside and you're wondering who they're with. What are those other kids like? Are they being led down the wrong path? It's important that as parents we parent our kids, and that we try our best to find out who they're with, to steer them away from bad behaviour and towards good behaviour. But that's a huge challenge, and it's one I know from experience. The Gardaí, we have a job to do, and that's to, on the one hand, it's to enforce law and order. We are policemen and women, and that's our job. But we believe in policing by consent, and that means working with our communities. Crime prevention to us is more important than detecting crime or solving crime, as important. Working with the communities to prevent future difficulties. It's very difficult to measure our success in that, but that doesn't mean we don't try. We don't get the credit for it when we do it well, because we can't say, here's how many crimes we've prevented over the last number of years. We can say, here's how many people we've arrested, but we'll never be out of business. We don't need to worry about arrests, because they're always going to be there to be made. Preventing crime means the resources that we do have don't get stretched beyond our capability, and that's hugely important for us. I believe that we could do some work with the people here and with the communities represented here in terms of putting structures in place whereby there can be a positive two-way communication. That's really important. It's important for us that we know what's going on in your communities. It's important for you that you have the trust that when you come and tell us that maybe there's an issue, that you don't see 24 vans arriving in your estate the next day to effect arrests, that we can do it in a way with a crime prevention motivation and ethos. It's important to us that we establish that trust. I know with our community policing units in those areas there is a lot of good work going on, but I am still sitting here hearing the words crisis, and there is genuine worries and concerns, so maybe more could be done. Every district, every station has a community policing unit, and those guards don't take up on the roster in terms of answering calls and going and taking reports of crime. They're out there every day working with people in our communities, and they are available to you to be contacted, to be invited to your meetings. They have specific training in terms of being receptive to what the community is telling us, and then they're probably the most valuable guards in the station for bringing back information to the station, which helps us, I suppose, plan how we're going to police our areas. Also, in every district we have what we call Garda diversity officers, and they're guards that my own office are involved with training, and they would be specifically trained in terms of the needs of our diverse communities and the sensitivities that go along with it. So there are avenues for which you can communicate with the guards other than maybe ringing and having a patrol car arrive at your door, and I suppose that's something that could be utilised. We have members of the Gardaí of the rank of inspector that are given tasked with championing diverse issues. And what I would like to see is maybe that we bring in those inspectors and make sure that there are systems in place for them to communicate, two-way communication between the representatives of your community and those inspectors. And that could be done on a regular basis, so that maybe the two-way communication can go on, and that perhaps we can be more aware of the concerns and issues that you have. Again, I don't want to try and tell you what you should be thinking or what should you be feeling, but I know prior to, say, my time in the diversity office, you would see things on social media, maybe clips that go viral, and if it involves young black kids, the perception is that it's somehow more sinister than if it involves two groups of kids from two rival Gaelic football teams. You know, it's important that we don't fall into the trap of pushing things to a level that maybe they're not at. And that's not to dismiss any of the concerns that you have, but it's important that the perception matches reality, and that we know, we look at the facts and we look at the figures. as much as anything else. If we as Gardaí start to overcook things and decide that maybe this particular area needs more police attention, then there's a risk that serves to marginalise the young people in those areas. So it's a delicate balance, but I suppose that challenge is overcome through communicating with each other, through working with each other. The internet and social media, I think, has put groups of kids from geographical areas in touch with each other in ways that never happened when we were kids. My 12-year-old boy plays football, and he said to me recently, "You know the guy that plays centre back for St. Francis?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "He's after signing for Cherry Orchard." I said, "How do you know that?" He told me. I said, "Who are you speaking to?" He was on social media. So the problem with the kids then is they get a kick on a football pitch and they go home and they start communicating with each other. Whereas when I was a boy, you got a kick on a football pitch, you might have wanted to duke it out with that guy, but you wouldn't see him for another 6 months, so it was fine. So they're the sort of challenges that maybe we didn't experience or live as kids ourselves, but that our kids are now dealing with. And you can be all talk online when you're not looking at people, but then when the kids go to a concert or go to and these groups come together, then that animosity has built up in ways that it wouldn't have previously. And that's one of the challenges I see as well. How do we manage that situation? I know there was a concert in the city centre a number of months ago, and there was criticism thrown at the Gardaí for over-policing it, but the reality was they knew there was groups from different areas coming, and they feared that it would kick off, and they flooded it with guards so that it wouldn't kick off. But then if the perception from those kids is that we're over-policing, again, it's a fine balance, and it's a challenging situation for us. But it's inspiring to see people from the community come together to try and work on these issues. And if all I leave you with today is that we're open for communication and we're open to working with you in order to solve these problems, then that'll be a good night to work from my perspective. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sgt Dermot. I'm sure we would have questions for you, a whole lot more